Welcome to Keeping It G with G, the podcast. I'm your host, Gian, but you can call me G. Hence, Keeping It G with G, the podcast. To keep it G means to maintain a level of respect for oneself and those around you. And that is why this show is created, to have an open, honest, vulnerable, and accountable discussion about the ups and downs of everyday life shit as it pertains to self-improvement, love, relationships, and motherhood. So in hopes of me sharing through personal experiences from the lessons I've learned and still learning, I pray that I can shed light and share some gems that will give you that extra push that you may need as we are all growing and learning through life. I'm here to reassure my listeners that it's okay to keep it G while on your journey. Now let's start the show. Surprise! Welcome to episode 61 of Keeping It G with G, the podcast. You all will now have 2 episodes a week instead of 1, so each and every Wednesday and Sunday there'll be a drop. Wednesday episodes are for that midweek pick-me-up motivational G shit, and then we have Sunday episodes now where we are ending the week, winding down, and coming into a new one. So what better way than to add a new podcast episode from Keeping It G with G, the podcast, to your self-care Sunday routine. So here we are. As some of you know, I turned 30 earlier this year in February on Valentine's Day. And so I just want to dedicate this episode to the fact that 30 is hitting real different. And there's just something about the year of 30 that if you set yourself up correctly, mentally and spiritually, to receive, an awakening happens. This is not on no cliche shit. Year 30 has already been real as fuck. I knew it was going to hit different, but this age is for sure a no-fly, no bullshit zone, and it's been just that for myself in the way that I interact with others and the way that I feel about myself, and it just feels damn good. But let me tell you, I've learned so much about myself and others in such a short time frame. I'm only almost 8 months into being 30 years old, and I feel like I'm just beginning and I'm just getting started. And it could have a lot to do with the fact that I just was shedding a lot this year, and I was in a transitional phase of my life. At first I was dreading it, like, I'm getting old. But I think that was honestly because sometimes we put unrealistic expectations on ourselves, or we say we should be here or there by this age, or have this or that by a certain age or a time frame, or put a deadline on things. But that's bullshit. And it takes you to a place where you can't really enjoy the process because you're putting so much emphasis and pressure on yourself for those expectations. And you have to stop putting so much pressure on yourself. This isn't just for the 30-year-olds. This goes for all my listeners, all ages, male, female, whoever is listening. You have to trust divine timing. Everything happens when and how it's supposed to, but in order for things to take place how they should, you have to have faith, you have to trust, and you have to truly surrender and know that God has you. Of course, have your plans and expectations, but just know if shit doesn't pan out how you feel they should have by a certain time frame or the way that you were expecting, it's cool. It just means that God is taking you on a different path. And so you just have to trust his plan and stay prayed up and continue to put your best foot forward. I know it sounds preachy, but I'm just sharing from my perspective and my point of view. So when it doesn't happen when you feel like it should happen or how you feel like it should have happened, that just means you have more time to prepare, to stay present and plan and do your work while you're in your waiting season. That is not an end all be all. So if I've not learned anything else in this year of 30, it is to surrender, let go, and let God. Control what I can, and what I can't, let God handle my lightweight for me, because I'm human, not superhuman. And this is something that I've had to constantly remind myself to do when I feel myself stressing or overly worrying about shit that is out of my control. 30 is, to me, not allowing me to go against myself in any way. 30 has forced me to honor myself in all ways. It's not allowing me to entertain anything that I'm less than in terms of my worth or shit that I've outgrown. My give a fuck meter is at a 0. If it's not beneficial, if it's none of my business, I just have to let it fly and let it roll off my shoulders and bypass me, because I am in a state of growth where I want to continuously grow, where I want to be surrounded by people who love and care for me, people that can pour into me and where I can pour into them. And most importantly, I am facing my shit. I'm going to say that a whole lot on this podcast because it is extremely important as it pertains to your growth. But I am facing my shit, old shit, new shit that comes up, so that I don't bring it into the future with me. You have to have those moments where you can be honest with yourself and do that frequently. It's not all good. You're not perfect. And we all have some areas that need improvement. So I make sure to be accountable and face my shit, even when I don't want to, or even if it hurts sometimes, because I want to continue to grow and not stay stagnant. And I'd be damned if I am the reason for not blossoming into the woman God intends on me being, because I refuse to face my own shit or be accountable or feel like I'm too big to face my shit or be apologetic in any way, whether it's to myself or to others. But yeah, it's not just for myself. It's most importantly for my daughter. I have Genesis, who is 4 years old now, and she is very aware and will not hesitate to be vocal about how anything or anyone makes her feel. She will ask a question about anything. She is very, very aware for her age, and I thank God for that. And so because of that, I have to lead by example and be accountable with her as well. I'm not putting unrealistic expectations on myself as a mother, but what I am doing is making sure that I'm accountable. I'm nurturing towards her feelings and making her feelings feel valid. And so I knew 30 would be different, but nevertheless, I am so grateful for the rebirth, the awakening, the chance to start anew, and I'm excited to see what God has in store for me. So if any of my listeners are getting closer to turning 30, welcome it. Do not dread it. Just make a promise to yourself that you will never stop doing the work you need to do within yourself to become the best possible version of yourself for yourself. And remember, it's not a pretty process, but you have to hang in there, have faith, stay prayed up, because the growth on the other side is so worth it. And so that is my Sunday episode for you guys. Be sure to, of course, follow the Instagram page for the podcast, the Twitter page, and don't forget to check out the playlist. And actually, I do have the book of the month that I started reading. It's actually called The Woman Code by Sophia A. Nelson, and I'll link that in the show notes for those who are interested. What else? I'm trying to think of any more announcements. Oh, yeah. And the site is back up working as well for the podcast, which is also, the link for that is in my bio for the Instagram page. But if not, I'll also put that information in the show notes as well. So please be sure to subscribe for updates and for all things Keeping It G with G, the podcast. And that is the episode. Have a great week, and I will talk to you guys for the next episode of Keeping It G with G, the podcast.